Hey everyone, it's Kendall, and joining me today, a super awesome athlete, Natalie Hines, Olympic hopeful. So cool to be able to say that. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so swimming, you grew up in Midland, Texas. What drew you to the sport? And what kind of got you going in that?
Well, short answer is my sister. She's like 5 years older than me. And so I wanted to do everything that she did. And so she was a swimmer well before I was. So I always have been around water. And my mom always wanted to have us be water safe. So we would always be swimming in the backyard pool and just like having a great time. And I'm very, very competitive. So anything that she did, I had to do. And also, I grew up in a town, like a very small town. And it's really weird because there's a huge swim complex there. And I really don't know how it made its way there, but it has like 5 or 6 pools. And it's like an all-encompassing, it does water therapy, everything. So like, it kind of was just like there for me to be a part of. And so that's how I got into and stayed in the sport.
And you were a top recruit. Looking at your bio, you decided to go to the University of Florida, where you became a 20-time All-American. We were joking about it before this interview. I don't know anything that I can say that I've done 20 times, but you became amazing at that sport 20 times. How did you find so much success in college, balancing, your swimming career and your college career?
I guess I just had a lot of fun. I think a lot of people do everything to the best of their ability when they are having fun. So I would attribute a lot to that. I also attribute a lot to, I had so many new experiences. I remember my freshman year was one of the hardest years that training wise, that I have ever done, even to this day, because everything was so new. I came from a very small program where I was a big fish in a little pond. And then I was on a team now where everyone was either my level or better. And so also being a freshman, like I just had so many new experiences and every day was so hard. But, by the end of the season, when I saw all the work pay off, I think it just made me hungrier for the next year and the next year, because I figured out how college swimming works, how the season works. But yeah, I mean, I had so many good people in my life in college in terms of like tutors and advisors and coaches, and so many people were there to help me. And I think that's how I just juggled everything with school, with swimming, with my personal and social life. I just knew that was a good place for me to thrive, and I think I picked a good place to go swim.
Do you ever look back at that number and think, oh my God, 20-time All-American? Does that ever just pop in your head like, wow, I did that?
I mean, not like on a normal day, but when someone says it, I like to be proud of myself. I think it's really important for one to look back and at least reflect on some of the things that they've done. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of All-American honors, and I probably could remember each of them just because they're all very special to me. And I can, I was in a different place of my life and my swim career for each of those. And so, yeah, I think it's a great number to look back on.
And then in 2016, you actually retired from swimming. What factors led to that decision?
I hated the sport. I guess I was just burnt out, and I let so many distractions and so many stressors get to me, because my senior year was the year of Olympic trials. So I had just finished my collegiate career and it didn't go the way that I wanted. So it was just kind of like a mental beat down, like every meet up until trials. And so I think trials was the pinnacle of my, the opposite of my success. So it'd be basically the pinnacle of like, I would consider it like of my failure. And so the only way I knew how to deal with it was just like, I don't want to swim anymore. I just felt like every time I would go to practice, I didn't want to be there. And like, you don't want to do something you don't want to do. You won't find joy in it and you won't find success in it. And so I didn't technically like retire. I didn't really tell anybody. I kind of just like slowly faded into the abyss. And I went and got a 9-to-5 job as a digital product manager. And I loved it. And I thought that was like the next phase of my life. I was like, okay, this is my new chapter. Like I did swimming, I had my success, and now this is next. But I just like kept having a nagging feeling that I wasn't done. And I just realized that 9-to-5 is not for me. And so that's kind of what started me to want to get back to the sport.
What did you learn about yourself in those 2 years? Obviously, you said, you knew the 9 to 5 wasn't for you, but
Yeah.
was there a moment where you just kind of realized, like, I want to get back to what I love to do?
Yeah, I just realized that I would always be very regretful, very resentful that if I didn't try and swim one more time, regardless of what the outcome was, at least I have would have given it a try. Um, and I also learned a lot about like how I approach other people, how I approach my mental, um, my mental capacity, what I can and can't handle. And I think um, going back to the sport is when I kind of reviewed what I learned out of the sport. It, I guess, everything that I learned was mostly mental in
Mm.
terms of you can do what you thought you couldn't do. Those types of things, like the fears that I had before, weren't really real. And it's just, kind of taking those steps and learning that about yourself is, I think, honestly, was the most important part of my time away from the water.
Well, and now we're back, and
Yeah.
you're trying to qualify for the now 2021 Olympics, which is so amazing in
Yeah. Thank
Tokyo.
you.
Yeah. So, how has that training been going, and how excited are you?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Obviously, super bummed that that it's not this year, but
Yeah.
health is obviously important, and I don't think it would. I don't really wouldn't have been feeling comfortable going right now, but
Mm.
getting back into the sport was just so exciting. Everything was new again, and I had so much gratitude for the sport and just like where I was in my life. And training was just every day was new. I learned something every single day. It was kind of like I just started from scratch again, kind of. Um, and by the 10th week that I was back, I was going best times, which I really wasn't. I wasn't prepared for that, but it was a really great surprise, and it kind of helped me to really believe that like I really wasn't done with the sport. But now, present day, just trying to stay mentally tough. Right now it's just kind of hard because we don't really have like a hard start of our season. So
Yeah.
some days you're going to practice and you're like, okay, well, I just really don't know what this all is for in this moment. But I just take it day by day, task by task. But I train with the pro group at UGA, and it's been great ever since I've arrived there. I get, when you're a professional, you get to choose where you want to train. Like I could have gone to California, I could have gone overseas. Like it really doesn't matter. But I chose UGA because I'm familiar with their coaching staff because I went to Florida, so SEC rivalry, I see them a lot, and I just knew that they were going to be the ones to help me reach all my goals the second time around.
And kind of hitting on one of your topics you just talked about, it must be hard mentally to keep yourself mentally prepared because it was supposed to be happening, a couple
Now,
months. Yeah,
yeah.
now a couple months from, and then the Olympics in Tokyo, like a couple months from now. So for you to be able to go to practice and just say like, hey, you have to be mentally tough now for like another year, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when they announced the postponement, obviously for a couple days there, I was just very confused, kind of sad, but I allowed myself to just be, it's okay to be sad because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you put your whole life is put together for this one point in time, and then it's kind of just like snatched away. So it's okay to have those feelings, but um, yeah, I mean, I think what's most important, especially what our coaches tell us, is you just need to be doing something. And this is a perfect time to work on weaknesses. Obviously, nobody wants to work on weaknesses right now because that's exactly why you're weak at them because you don't do them. But we're just reminded every day that this you'll be thanking yourself later. You don't want to slack off now, and then the season starts and you're out of shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some days where I'm like, I don't want to go to practice, but I remind myself like my future self will thank you if I go.
Yeah. And besides your amazing swimming career, you also really like to educate different cultures about swimming and different demographics and things like that. What brought you to want to do that?
So in 2015, I was part of a 1-2-3 finish at nationals, collegiate NCAAs, where myself, Leah Neal, and Simone Manuel went 1-2-3 in the 100 freestyle, which is something that's never been done before. But at the time, I don't think any of us had any idea because we were like in meet mode and like competition mode. And so, after that meet and then so after that meet, I kind of realized how significant that was. And then after my career, the first time was over, now I had time, and now I had, I could reflect on how important that was and how big of a deal. And, because there's not that many, Black people in the sport of swimming. It's a predominantly white sport. So just being able to review and reflect on how amazing that was and how it's never been done before, and it might be a while before it's, done again, is partly the reason why I am so passionate about it. And when I stopped swimming, I had so much time to just kind of like learn, because I knew I was the only Black kid like on my swim team, around the state. Not, it's only until I got to Florida did I start to see people who looked like me on a day-to-day basis at the swim pool. So, and that was what, like 7 years ago? It really wasn't that long ago. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I love to help people. I love doing clinics. I think it's amazing to see, like, from the start of a clinic to the end, like how someone's life has changed because they either have learned how to swim or they've conquered a fear to just get in the water. Like, it's just so crazy to see, different levels of people. And I think my story is unique in that I took a whole 2 years away from a sport and had a whole nother life, but decided to come back, and I'm doing better now than I did before. And I think it's really important. It can be applied to all aspects of life, like, because life is connected, in anything that you do. And so I think my story can definitely help somebody who, is not listening to their gut, but they hear it on a consistent basis.
Awesome. Natalie, thank you so much for joining us. We will be rooting for you now until whenever it happens, but congratulations on already an amazing career, and hopefully one that comes to the Olympics too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.